So let's talk about our location. We live in the Ozarks.
We do.
Yeah.
Ozark County, in fact.
Ozark County in southwest Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that like
Wow.
geographically?
Well, dust or mud.
Right. This is a first generation regenerative farm. We building this from nothing, knowing basically nothing. Because I would like to know how much they taught you in pilot training about how to keep sheep alive. Hey y'all, put on your boots, grab your headphones, and let's get a little muddy.
As we build a community rooted in the love of dirt roads, whether dust or mud.
Welcome to the Dust or Mud podcast.
Well, here we are. Inaugural edition, episode number 1, Dust or Mud podcast. Welcome, everybody. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right, so we're going to do this thing now, and we put together a little format that we think we're going to stick with. We're going to do just a welcome and an intro, and then give a quick farm update. We'll do a topic of the day, and then we'll wrap everything up. Our plan is do this every Thursday. At least release it on Thursday. We'll record it earlier so that we can get it done and do this
30 minutes to an hour,
yeah, maybe.
give or take. Okay.
And we'll do it till we don't, I guess.
Okay, well, how about we introduce ourselves to people who don't know us? Hopefully those people are in the audience soon.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm Shelley. I've spent the last, most of my adult life being a stay-at-home mom. Raised kids and was a military spouse extraordinaire. PCS this all over the world and supported the best that I could our military way of life. How about you?
Yeah, well, my name's Rich. Our last name is McGlamory. And I was in the U.S. Air Force for almost 25 years. I was a fighter pilot for most of that. I spent the last 5 years at the Pentagon doing Pentagon-type things. The last 3 in the acquisitions world. So fighter pilot, strategist, acquisitions is really where I focused everything. That's pretty much it.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Fast-paced life.
It was a fun life.
Yeah, it was. It was really fun.
We retired just over 2 years ago now, and came here to do something.
Yes. Yeah, we did. What did we come here to do?
A different life.
Yeah.
An absolutely different life is what we wanted. We chose not to stay in the Department of Defense. That was the plan all along, was go from, active duty, retired as a colonel, to go straight into either a contractor or a civilian job. And I don't know, right towards the end, we took a right turn or left or some direction.
Yeah.
Well,
opposite.
180.
180. Yeah, opposite.
And chose to do something completely different. Get
Yeah.
out of the Department of Defense or defense in general. And
Which is very similar to a corporate style life
yeah.
at that level.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not calling the Air Force a corporation, but it is very corporate minded.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now who do we work for?
Ourselves.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Our interests now, we've done a lot of things in the world. We've traveled a lot of places, and now we're a little bit anchored here on a farm.
We're a lot anchored.
On a farm in southwest Missouri. And our interests now really revolve around food, freedom, and farming. And freedom, well, we've fought for freedom for 25 years in the Air Force. So we'll have to expound on what we mean by freedom.
Yeah.
Because we've been defending that for a long time. And so it seems like that would have already kind of been there, but I think we've taken it to another plane or another level in how we feel about freedom
Yeah.
at large. And food, tell us about how you feel. What's your interest in food these days?
Well, we started this whole thing for food. We like good food. We want good food, and not just good flavored food. Actually, good food.
Right.
And so we ordered some food when we were still in the DC area from local farmers, and were amazed at there was an actual flavor difference, and it was raised well, it lived a good life, like that whole thing. And like in general, the food was good, and that really piqued our interest. And so from there, we decided we could do it ourselves. So that really started our interest in good food.
Right. And then I guess that leads us to the farming part
Yeah.
and the type of farming that we do.
Yeah. We did quite a bit of research. We watched a whole lot of YouTubes, read books, listened to podcasts, obviously influenced by Joel Salatin and Justin Rhodes and Greg Judy and a lot of the real gurus in the regenerative farming style. Recently listened to Joel Salatin's podcast with Sina, and one of the interesting things they were talking about the difference between regenerative and organic.
Oh,
and
right. Yeah.
So I would say that if you had to define ours, it's a combination of regenerative and organic, but not necessarily exactly either one. So we're not certified organic. We don't have the government coming onto our farm or any certification agency saying that we are certified organic. But unlike a lot of regenerative farmers, we don't spray our fields and do all of the things that sometimes happen with regenerative farms. So in some manner, we're a mix of both organic and regenerative, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the style of farming we do. We chose the word farm because we have a mixture of animals, and we felt like that really better describes what we're doing.
Farm versus ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So podcasting, this is a little out in left field for us.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure you can tell. So we really believe that we are entering a time in our lives or in history or in the history of the United States. I don't know how you want to look at it, but
Just a time.
an epoch,
Yeah.
a period of time.
Yeah.
We're entering a period of time where we believe community is going to be very important. And we spend every Saturday morning at a local farmers market, and we stand around and we talk to people. And it is very interesting to us how many people around are feeling similarly in the same fashion that we feel. They're feeling the same types of feelings. They're thinking the same types of thoughts.
Right.
And we thought that potentially, we'll see, that this could be an outlet for us and a way to gather folks together and form a community of like-minded folks. So that really, the whole idea of the podcast really was born out of that, just the idea of, can we use this to make a community?
Yeah. And we have a lot of stories. We have a lot of experiences. Just in 2 years of learning how to farm, from word go, we know nothing, to 2 years later, we know a little bit more than nothing, not much, but a little bit more than nothing. And we have a lot of experiences, funny stories, and to be, maybe be an inspiration to somebody else if they're dreaming about doing something, if they're dreaming about getting down the dirt roads, if they're dreaming about getting out of the city, if they think, man, I want to do that too someday, put on your shoes, get in your car, and go and do it. That kind of inspiration as well, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm super big on, if that's something you want to do, you should go and do it.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
For real. Yep. So the next thing we were going to do is on all of the episodes. So after a brief intro and here's what we're going to talk about today, and any funny stories or news stories that we happen to be thinking about, we were just going to do a quick farm update. So I've been writing a blog for over half the year now, and That's sort of the same style I use or format I use with the blog. So we do a quick farm update to start everything. So we were going to start with a farm update. And first off, what animals have you got?
What's the name of your farm?
Well,
Oh, Air2Ground Farms. That's the name of our farm. And we have animals, yes. What animals do we have? We have chickens.
both meat chickens
Meat
and
chickens
layers.
and layers. We have ducks, all layers.
Yep.
We have a bunch of barn cats.
We do have a bunch of barn cats.
We have a lot of guardian dogs.
Yes.
Okay. Outside,
We have guardian geese, too.
We have guardian geese, too. We also, to get a little bit bigger, we've got some sheep.
Yeah.
We have
And,
pigs.
and some, like how many? Like, just an idea.
Let's say...
To have an exact number of sheep we know isn't a thing.
Yeah, how many sheep do you have? I don't know. 30 plus ewes, 30-ish lambs, 2 rams. I think that covers the sheep.
That's the sheep.
And then we have pigs. We currently have 10. We do feeder pigs. We don't farrow. We don't have sows. We don't have boars. We don't breed pigs. We get them from a reputable breeder in our local area.
Yeah.
If you've watched our YouTube videos, you already know that. Let's see.
How many pigs? Like 100?
We have 10.
Oh, 10.
Yeah, 10. Beef cows.
Yep.
Let's see. 1 bull, about 9 mama cows, 4 or 5 heifers, a couple of steers, and some calves. All in all, I think, I didn't do the math exactly right, but there's about 28 cows out there.
27.
We keep having calves, so I don't know the exact number right this second. And then we also have 3 dairy cows. We have 3 A2 jerseys.
Yep.
2
in milk.
2 in milk and 1 heifer that was born in January. So does that cover?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that covers, and I said the rams. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're by themselves. I think that covers all of our animals. And we really are a farm. You know, we're not a zoo.
No.
We don't name them per se. We don't treat them like they're pets. They are all intended to make food, be food, or protect food.
Yeah.
And we do have a couple of pets, and you know that's what that is.
We don't consider them part of the farm.
But we don't consider them part of the farm at all. They're part of the house.
Yeah.
But that we treat all of them, all of the farm animals, like were intended to be treated. They live in the environment they were intended to live in, and they're just not pets.
Right.
You know, they're all for food production.
The jerseys may feel like it, though. They're pretty,
princesses.
They're pretty pampered.
Yeah, they're very pampered. They are. But they give daily, twice a day.
That's right.
So we make sure that they're very well cared for,
Yeah.
well fed. They get brushed and fly swatted and all of the things, you know, twice a day.
Yeah.
And they love it. They're good. They're first calf heifers, and they're doing really well.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
We get about 6 gallons of milk a day, somewhere in that range. 5.5 on a low day, 7 on a high day. So somewhere right about 6 is our average.
Yeah.
A2 Jersey milk. It's amazing.
Yeah. So anything happened with some of these animals in this? Let's just say, you know, in the last week, a couple of high notes.
Beef cows on new pasture. We
Yeah.
rotate them often.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's raining
Mm-hmm.
and the grass is growing, which is amazing. All of the ruminants are very happy
Yeah.
with life right now. This time last summer, we were in the middle of a drought. It had just rained, I think this week. It had just rained, so the grass was starting to grow a little bit,
Yeah.
but it hadn't rained in 2 months before that. So
Yeah, it was a pretty severe
things
drought.
things were not looking great last year.
Yeah.
And then this, right about now, is when we entered the second drought.
Yeah.
So it wasn't good last year. And so this year, with the grass growing like crazy, all of the ruminants are very happy, full bellied.
Yeah.
So that's doing really well.
Yeah. Guard dogs. The other day, Tozer decided to help a duck get back in to where the duck belonged. And we thought that he was attacking the duck, but he wasn't. He picked the duck up in his mouth, and he carried the duck back over to the netting where the duck belonged. And that was just pretty astonishing. I knew that he was good, but I didn't know he was that good.
Yeah. So a little bit more to the story was when you see a dog carrying one of your birds, the natural reaction is to freak out.
Yeah,
So
there was a
lot of tozer and arms waving and yelling and running at the dog. And when we got there, he gently set the duck down next to the net, and there was not even any slobbers on the duck. He hadn't even hurt. He certainly didn't harm it, and he was so careful to set it down exactly where it needed to be that we were able to just pick it up and put it back where it belonged.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the guardian dogs are doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. Our main guardian dog, his name's Tank. He's not wanting to stay with the sheep right now. He's wanting to hang out at the house. So that's being a little bit frustrating because we can't get him to stay out there with the other dog.
But his son, Tank Jr., TJ, he doesn't leave the sheep at all.
He's doing great.
So they're doing he's doing a great job. And then watching him recently, Tank goes in and out.
Oh.
So he'll go in with the sheep for a while, and then he'll come back out.
Well, their presence is really what's, what...
Yeah, a little frustrating to us because we want him right there with them. And I think he's saying, look, I can keep an eye on him from over here.
Yeah, I guess so. So that kind of covers, little bits of the farm, obviously there's far more to it than, short little snips, but, let's just talk about the sheep for a minute, because that's pressing on us this minute.
Sure is.
Sheep suffer or can suffer, especially in Southwest Missouri, from parasites. There are other diseases that also can get to them, but we have tried. Last year we tried doing it a way. This year we've tried doing it a different way to try to have more success. So far we have. But we had a lamb die last night and cause for concern. And so we took it in, and it looks like there might be a parasite problem. So short order, we've got to get the dewormer and get the sheep into the pens and get them dewormed so that the lambs, to give them some relief because they just are unable to cope with it. And not knowing what the parasite load is on your property, it's difficult to gauge it when the moms seem fine, but the lambs then kind of sneaks up on them and they can't handle it. So we have that coming.
Yeah, so you mentioned we did something different last year. Yeah. So last year we didn't deworm and we didn't vaccinate for anything.
We wanted to be all natural.
And what ended up happening was we lost over half of our lamb crop.
Yeah.
And that's really demoralizing when you're first starting out, especially to have all of these beautiful babies and they're fun and everything. And
we don't vaccinate, we don't deworm, and it didn't.
And then
we tried it. It did not work.
Next thing we knew, we had half of the lambs were gone.
Yeah.
And so this year, what we tried to do differently was to do the common vaccination that people use for sheep and lambs is a CDT vaccination, and it's for intestinal diseases and tetanus, or not diseases, intestinal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, and tetanus. So we did that, and we were like, okay, and things were going really well.
Yeah.
And then when we had one die last night, that was the cause for concern.
Right.
Was based on the experience we had last year. It was 1, and then it was 2, and then it was 5.
Oh, we can't do that again.
Yeah, and we don't want to do that again.
No.
So we took it to the vet, had a necropsy done on it, and it was the fecal that told them the lamb had a heavy parasite load.
Yep.
So, and we don't, I know that there's the whole, you can do FAMACHA and that type of thing, but our sheep are in the pasture. Like, they're not in a barn. We're not handling them every day.
Right.
We go out and we look at them every day. We move them often, but we're not hands-on.
We don't give them grain every evening, pulling
down eyelids to check everybody's
state
of anemia
every day.
We don't. That's not our the way we do sheep.
Yeah.
It's not that. So we this one sort of snuck up on us, I
It
guess,
did.
surprised us a little bit. So that is an update definitely on the farm, is that we've got to now, tomorrow we got to bring everybody up, put them in the pens, and deworm the lambs.
Yep.
And then we're about 2 weeks from weaning them, probably.
Yes.
So in about 2 more weeks, then we'll bring them back into the pens again and separate the ewes from the lambs. And we'll send the ewes to one side of the farm and send the lambs to the other side.
That'll be a good time. That'll be noisy.
Yeah.
Ooh wee.
Right.
Seriously. Oh gosh, yeah. They will be hollering, but they'll get over it.
Yeah.
They will.
Other farm
Okay.
things, any other, like garden? We have a garden.
Oh, we have a garden. How big is it? I mean, it's not like a little backyard garden. What is it? 50 by
20.
20?
Yep.
Okay. It has done amazing. Yesterday we picked cabbage.
Yeah.
We've had broccoli this year. Lots of green beans, tons of tomatoes, more cucumbers than I care to discuss. Because if we don't need any more pickles until like the year 2030, I think. We just don't. Let's see.
We've had quite a few squash and
Quite a few
zucchini.
squash and zucchini.
Not overrun, but
No.
we've had some.
Yeah.
We have
I wish I would have liked more of those,
Yeah.
honestly.
We have a lot of peppers. We've
Yep.
gotten a lot. We still have a lot on
Jalapenos.
the plants. Jalapenos and Thai chili really are the
Yep.
main peppers that we've got going.
So we've worked at all that, trying to get them canned, get them in the freezer, get them mixed up, get them preserved some way or another. Sometimes you lose some because they sit on the counter a little bit too long. But other than that, with everything we've got going on, I think we've done pretty good at just getting it into some state that it will last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
We are not expert, homesteaders. And it might start sounding like we're homesteaders, but we're not. We're farmstead. We're a full farm business. And we also, stead around our home with the milk and the gardens and, growing our own food was the primary reason for doing all of this. But that we are not just a homestead.
Yeah.
We have a lot more going on than that. So to fit in, okay, it's time to can and time to preserve and time to do all of that. It's a lot, and we get it done, but it's more like it's wedged in there. It's not
With the garden.
With
Yeah.
the garden, yeah, for sure. Or an overrun of milk. 6 gallons a day is a lot for 4 people. We do sell in the state of Missouri. It's legal to sell raw milk off farm, so we do. And that way we're able to provide a few families in the local area with good A2 milk, which is super handy if they have an A1. A couple of them do have A1 issues, and that gives them, good milk and dairy products that they can, milk that they can make their dairy products out of that they can eat. So we like doing that a lot. Anyway, so that kind of covers the garden and our, kind of homesteadishness around the house.
All right. So topic of the day
Yeah.
is sort of us.
It's us. Yeah.
What-
Corporate to countryside, the 9 to 5 to the 24/7.
Yeah, right. So the can to cane.
From can to can't. Yeah. I understand the can to can't now. Old timers, they used to say, how long do you work? Well, can to can't. Well, is it till your body can't? No, it's usually sun up to sundown from when you can see to when you can't see.
Yeah.
And during the summertime around here, the sun stays up for a long time in Missouri. So we tend to have pretty long days during this time. We just work all the time, but we enjoy it.
So what sparked your interest in farming?
In farming, so, it started with the food, and then we were talking about, we were ready for some land. We'd always wanted some land. We wanted 100 acres. We didn't know why. And you said, we need to go start looking for land. As you were coming up on eligibility to retire from the military, you got to start considering what your options are. And yes, of course, the corporate life and going defense was an option for us, but we didn't know if we wanted to do that. We were really unsure. So let's look at land, and maybe we can grow our own food. So we're watching a documentary. I would highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's the Sacred Cow by, I think Diane Rogers produced it. And we watched that one, it was in November of 2020. And a lot of people's wheels were turning in 2020 of, I don't know about my security, my food security, my food supply, because of what we had all been through the past, 6 to 9 months. And so we were watching the documentary after we were discussing we need some land, and it all just kind of ran together. And after we watched that documentary, I looked at you and I said, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And you said, where? Like, you didn't even think about it. You're just like, where? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. We're from Florida and we've lived everywhere. So let's start looking. And then you prompted, let's go look. And I set it up and we started looking for, larger pieces of land. And my mother-in-law said, make sure that you look at Missouri. It's beautiful. Well, we didn't know anything about Missouri, but we looked anyways. And we looked at quite a number of properties. And one of them was this one. And we set foot on the property and we said, I think we're moving to Missouri.
Yeah.
And so then it just, the ball was rolling down the hill.
Yeah. And really, what piqued our interest in farming specifically, so we had found the land and we were talking about what animals, what were we going to do with the land? What animals were we going to grow? Where did we want to put our focus? And we knew that we wanted to raise pigs. We knew we love pork, we love bacon, and we knew we wanted to do pigs. And so we really started researching how to do pigs and came to the realization that the difference between raising 2 or 3 pigs and 10 isn't a whole lot as far as the labor is concerned.
Labor, right.
So, you're building a pen already. Build it a little bit bigger.
Well, we kind of already knew we wanted to, keep them in the woods anyway, so the size didn't even really matter.
No, but I mean, so you make your paddock a little bit bigger than you would have. Mm-hmm. If you're taking feed down for 3, you just take a little bit more feed, but you're still going down there anyway. Yeah. So it as we were looking at it, it became, without a whole lot more effort, with a little bit more effort, we might be able to do this such that other people benefit from what we're doing also. Yeah. Because we knew we wanted to do it humanely. We knew we wanted to raise the pigs in the forest. We knew we wanted to feed them GMO-free food. Yeah,
we knew what our how was. We knew how we wanted to do it.
And then we thought, well, maybe other people will like this also. Maybe. Maybe. So
Well, we knew we like it, so somebody else is going to like it.
But let's try it. Yeah. Instead of raising 3 pigs.
Let's raise 10.
Yep. And so we did. And then, you take that same logic to, if you're going to process a beef once a year, why don't you process 2 or 3 beefs? Yeah. We like lamb. So if you're going to have process 4 or 5, process 10, so like it was just that same mentality really grew. And so by the time we got here, we had already decided, by the time we moved here, we'd already purchased the property, but by the time we moved here, we'd already decided we're going to make a farm. We're going to do this. Yeah. We're going to try it as a business and see if potentially the local community would like the type of food that we're wanting to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think I trailed off a little bit on that. Sorry. No. I always trail off. No. It's okay. Anyway. So you said why farming? Yeah. Then we did discuss a little bit of the where we're farming and how we got here. What are your feelings, as you are now completely separated from the corporate life? How do you feel about being here versus having been there? Like, there's somebody out there that's sitting there, they're commuting right now listening to this. Talk about your feelings from going from that to this.
Okay. The thing, I guess the best way to describe it is freedom. And that, you mentioned at the beginning that we were going to have to discuss freedom a little bit. This may be the place. So this is free, like really free.
Mm.
I am free from the confines of my vehicle. I was stuck in a vehicle for hours every day, commuting to and from the Pentagon for 5 years. And I wasn't surrounded by people that I like. I was surrounded by people that were being jerks most of the time.
Except for a few, obviously.
No, I mean in their vehicles.
Oh, in their vehicles.
In
yeah,
traffic when you're sitting there in your car.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you're on 295, 395, 210, like whatever the road happens to be.
Just say the Beltway area.
Surrounding DC. You're on the Beltway.
People aren't nice.
People aren't necessarily nice, and most of them aren't happy to be there.
Right.
They're certainly not happy to see you because you're just another part of the traffic.
Yeah, you're in their way.
Yeah. So there was a quite a bit of my life right there that was confined, trapped almost, and I am free from that right now.
Yeah.
Our commute consists of getting on the side by side and taking food to the pigs.
Right.
Like that's about our daily commute. So, for one, it's very free. Not to mention you are owning your own business. You are your own boss. You are all of these things, right? Like you're not answering to anyone really. You and I discuss what we're going to do for the day, and that's about where it goes.
Sure.
The stress, working in the Pentagon at the level, like as a colonel, everybody always laughs that colonels get coffee in the Pentagon, but there's still a lot of stress involved in just being in the Pentagon, and the types of job that I had, spent a couple of years in Checkmate in the Air Force's strategy think tank, current operations strategy, and that was a very stressful couple of years. The events that were going on in the world were stressful, and then from there, pinned on colonel and moved over into the acquisitions world, and just learning a whole new world, going from fighter pilot to strategist to now acquisitions. Like that in and of itself was stressful.
Right.
And then the last year I was the director of a 3-letter in the Pentagon as a colonel.
People don't know what a 3-letter is.
Yeah, the AQ is the acquisitions political appointee is AQ, and so the next level down from the political appointee is the 3-letter.
Okay.
And I was.
So it's how they structure their organization.
Yeah, so
letters.
directly below a political appointee, which isn't normally a colonel. It's normally a 1 or 2-star general.
Right.
But I was there, and there's definitely stress involved in that level of a job, and that is gone. Like that stress isn't there.
Right.
There's not that there's not stress here, but it's different. It is. We had a lamb die, and we need to figure out why. And what are we going to do about the rest of the flock?
Right.
But the level of stress is certainly different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So as you approached retirement, and you were deciding on, do you want to do defense? Do you want to stay in that industry? Or do you want to go and do something else? It was a little abrupt because we were really headed towards going and working for probably industry.
Yeah.
And it was a hard right turn or left, whichever.
About
face.
Yeah.
Okay. And was there anything that just struck you?
No.
Okay.
No, there wasn't. I wasn't struck by lightning or anything. It was maybe more of a feeling than anything. I was just finished. I loved the job that I was doing. I loved the career. I loved the United States Air Force. I loved the military. I loved the nation. I love our country. Like that. It wasn't like and about face there.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I'm
done.
finished.
I'm done now.
I'm finished.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably a stupid analogy, but the little thing popped out on the turkey and it was done. Like it just
I was
happened.
thinking more like Forrest Gump, and then he stopped running.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
And then I stopped running.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I stopped.
Yeah.
And when I was finished, like that was it. I was finished.
Yeah.
And
It was very obvious
Yeah.
to me, to us
Yeah.
at home, for sure. All right, so let's move on to, we talked about our desire for land and watching some documentaries. We did visit a farm.
We did.
We went to a lot of people who follow regenerative farming, or if you know who Joel Salatin is, J&L Green Farm, Jordan and Laura Green, their farm is outside of Washington, D.C. and Virginia as well. We were able to purchase some meat from them a couple of times, and we got to go visit their farm, walk around. They farm like this, and that was very inspiring.
Yeah, it was. I think the biggest thing about their farm was that those were huge hogs, and there was one wire between me and the hog.
About 10 to 12 inches off of the ground.
Yeah.
And we're walking, and they're just...
And I grew up hog hunting. It's not like I'm scared of hogs,
No.
but it was just
Wow.
a very eye-opening thing. Like there's only one wire there.
But they are it's not that difficult to train a pig to stay away from one wire.
Yeah,
If you
and it
use
was really interesting to look at their pastures or paddocks where they had the pigs, and you could really follow the transition as the pigs moved through their forest.
Mm-hmm.
The furthest in the past was green and stuff was growing,
Right.
and then as you got to the pigs, it looked like pigs, you know, and it was really interesting to see that. This is neat. Look at what they're able to do with these pigs, turning forest into green.
Yeah.
It was cool.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So farming, we raise all of these animals, and what's one of the number one questions that we get? Well, did you guys grow up farming? No, we did not grow up farming. I grew up in town. I won't say in the city because that would be very exaggerative. But I did grow up in town.
You were in the city limits.
I know I was in the city limits. I could
that
walk
means you
to
were
school.
in the city.
But it's a town of less than 5,000 people
Yeah.
or in the city.
Yeah.
So it's not very big. We come from a rural town in South Central Florida, and you grew up out on acreage, and yes, there were cows, but you guys you were not like cattle farmers per se.
Yeah,
You didn't
and
own...
like I tell people, they ask, did you grow up on a farm?
Yeah.
I say no, and then I tell them about my childhood, and they're like, that's pretty much a farm. But like, we never thought of it as a farm. We always had a beef or two that we were raising out, that we had, typically gotten a steer from a local dairy that we were raising. We typically had some wild hogs in a pen that we were feeding out to try to get some of the gaminess out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma at different points had rabbits at one time and ducks at one time, and
all the gardening.
Lots of gardening.
Yeah.
So people look at me and they're like, "That's a farm," but like it wasn't really a farm. It would be more. We were self-reliant in with some of our food.
Right.
It was more like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even really a homestead, but we did take care of some of our own food.
And we grew up, we were outdoorsy people. There was fishing, there was hunting, there was all of the manner of those things that you can imagine. But we did not grow up on a farm.
No.
Neither one of us are generational farmers.
No.
We have, there are a lot of farms in this country that are sixth generation. This is a first generation regenerative farm. We building this from nothing, knowing basically nothing. Because I would like to know how much they taught you in pilot training about how to keep sheep alive.
None.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing. They didn't teach it. So a quick story, whenever your husband is going through officer training school in the United States Air Force, it is common practice for the older like the instructor wives and maybe the lieutenant colonel wives, the commander's wives, to have the new recruits or the new OT wives, soon to be lieutenant wives, over to a house. I don't know if they still do this, but they did this in 1997. And we all got, we got dressed up and we went over to the lieutenant colonel's house, and she served us, a brunch and tea and coffee and all of that sort of thing. And, welcome to, being an officer's wife in the Air Force. And not quite as, they used to wear gloves and dresses and pearls, and they really did. We didn't do all that, but it wasn't it wasn't very far away from that at that time. And they taught us, what etiquette was at a fancy dinner, bread and drinks and all of that kind of manner of thing. But nothing about chickens.
No.
Not one thing. No. So to go from that lifestyle to, hey, what do y'all know about cows? What do you know about dairy cows and how to milk a cow?
Well, the one thing I can say, we could do this for every one of the animals. The thing that I would say is when we decide to do something, we do it.
Fact.
Period.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how, and we did not let that stop us.
Yes.
We just did it, right? We have a lot of books.
A lot of books.
We've done a lot of
library.
We've done a lot of research
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah.
We bought books on milk cows. We watched videos on milk cows. We learned about milk cows. And then we decided we're going to get a milk cow, and we did.
Yeah.
And we've made it work. Like, we're milking the cows. We're getting milk every day.
Right.
So did you grow up doing it? The answer is no. Are you doing it? Yes. Yeah, we are, because we wanted to and we chose to.
And I think that's one thing our society fails people, because you're expected to know something before you do it in the society.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, you don't know anything about that, you can't do it. That's wrong.
Yeah, you don't have to be an expert.
And people think that, we do study and we learn things as we go. As approaching it, yes, but as we go, that doesn't mean that we have to know everything when we get there. We can research ourselves to death.
Yeah.
You can YouTube yourself to death.
Yeah. Well, and the speed at which we did this, is
How old are you?
crazy. I'm 50. How old are you?
I'm 50 as well.
There you go.
Yeah. And so not spring chickens.
No.
Uh-huh.
And I think we were listening on Audible to Joel Salatin's book, You Can Farm, we were reading that one. And he talked about, in his opinion, the max age really to start this whole venture is 30s, maybe mid 30s at the very latest. And outside of that, you're too old.
Yeah.
You don't have the stamina, you don't have the go really to make this happen, because of the amount of work and the effort that's involved in starting like a first generation. We're going to start this from scratch farm.
Yeah.
And that was, for two people with our personalities, that was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That not difficult. We viewed it as a challenge to us.
Right.
Yes, we can.
Right.
Yes, we can do
Right.
it. Watch.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And so we really set our minds to, we are going to do it.
Right.
And then how did we learn how? We learned.
Yeah. Read.
We
Quickly.
used all of the resources that we could find.
Right.
We didn't have time to go do an 18-month internship someplace.
No, they don't.
We couldn't do that, right?
No.
We had to buy sheep.
Yeah.
And start learning. Like, read everything you can, watch the videos, and then get some and learn.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. For sure. And so people will ask us when they come out to the farm, my gosh, how long was this already set up when you got here? And how long have you been here? And how long have you been farming? 2 years. Whoa, you did all this in 2 years? Yes, we had to hurry.
Well, it's the first week of August.
It is?
We got the first animals on the farm the first week of August 2 years ago.
Tomorrow. I think it was August the 2nd or 3rd. Yeah.
Those were our 3
guardian dogs.
Livestock guardian dogs.
2 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. It's been whirlwind. And, we'll talk about it more another day, I'm sure. But, by the way, the land that we bought was completely raw. Or we could talk about it right now. It was raw. There was some water on it. There was cross fencing. Yes, we have, a well and waterers for cattle, all over the property. But there was no home site. There wasn't a barn. There was nowhere to put an animal other than in a field. And we needed somewhere to live. We needed somewhere to park vehicles. We didn't have anything except our RV and us. And so we spent the better part of a year. No, it was September. I guess we knocked down the first tree and then we moved in. Well, we'll just go September to September that we were building a house.
Yeah.
And making a home site.
Yep.
So that we could have a full up home.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah.
And we knocked down a tree because we had to put in a driveway and power lines. So,
yeah, that was literally nothing.
Yeah, the house barn complex plopped down in the middle of one of our pastures, so we didn't have to clear any trees here. But to get to here, we cleared a few so that we could come in with some power.
So we were busy last year learning how to farm, reading books, trying not to kill sheep, and building a house.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing I will say is keep yourself, as healthy as you can so you can keep going longer.
Yeah.
So we didn't know anything about doing a business, starting a business, having a business. They didn't teach that in pilot training either.
No, they didn't.
No. So, I think, was it day 2? We were on the property. We had our LLC formed and we're putting together Air2Ground Farms.
Official identification number from the IRS.
IRS, yeah. They know right where we are. Anyway, so we didn't know anything about that. The learning curve was pretty steep on, how to form a business, how to go to the bank. Of course we can open a bank account, but a business, here is our new stuff, writing charters for LLCs and all that. Learning taxes. We've always historically done our own taxes, TurboTax, because we only had one income. It wasn't too difficult. Add a business to it and a whole bunch of other stuff, and now we just take it to our accountant.
Yeah. And the funny thing is when we showed up to the accountant to do our business and personal tax, she asked, well, did you file your business tax? And
yeah, that's right.
We were like,
what are you talking about?
What?
It's not April yet.
Yeah.
We're ahead of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's for a different date.
Yeah.
That's okay. We got forgiveness.
The state business tax was supposed to have been filed in January. And we had no idea that there was even such a thing.
Yeah.
And then the federal business tax was supposed to have been filed in March.
Yeah.
And likewise, we had no idea there was such a thing. So,
yeah, that's okay. You know what? They actually do have forgiveness in that system for newcomers.
Yeah.
Yep. And we applied, and they gave us forgiveness, and
that's right.
Yeah, we got it right this year.
Surely it's called the ignorance clause, I would think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably. So let's talk about our location. We live in the Ozarks.
We do.
Yeah.
Ozark County, in fact.
Ozark County in southwest Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that like?
Wow.
Geographically.
Well, dust or mud.
Right.
No, it's beautiful here. Mm-hmm. Rolling hills. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I would call them mountains, but like there are definitely hills. There's definitely terrain. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of trees, hardwood trees.
Yeah.
A few pine trees, some cedar trees, but it is a beautiful spot on the earth. 4 seasons for sure. It is hot in the summertime. It is cold in the wintertime, and we do have spring and fall. So like that part is interesting. Growing up in South Florida, where there was hot and then there was hot, were really the 2 seasons. Yeah. And here, the seasons, like the next thing you know, it's the next season, and
it's coming.
I don't know it. For me, and I understand getting older, time changes, but like it really feels like time just really goes fast here because, it's it's cold and you're looking forward to it warming up, and then it warms up, and then it's hot and you're looking forward to it cooling down, and like it just like it
Yeah.
really.
Or you just know it's coming. You
Yeah,
know, like you don't have hay yet. It's August.
Yeah,
you
right.
need to get some because winter's coming. We need it. You know,
Yeah.
or the wood cut.
Yeah. So the soil here is different,
Challenging.
challenging.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of topsoil on our property, at
Mm-hmm.
least. The rocks are about anywhere from on the surface to an inch or two below the surface.
We grow rocks very well.
We do?
Most people in this area do.
Yep. Every time it rains, we'll have a new crop of rocks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself is challenging. I mean,
Yeah.
it's firm. You don't really have to worry about getting stuck on the property. It's not like, the mud and muck in South Florida when it rains, but
Right.
there's going to be firm bottom.
Okay, but we watch people on YouTube and they have these, they have netting,
Yeah.
Premier One fence netting. You charge it with a solar charger, and it keeps animals in and animals out. And we watch them step them in, and it looks like, oh my gosh, that looks so great.
You just
so
grab
easy to
this
it and
little
just
flexible plastic pole and you push it
push
into
it
the
into
ground,
the ground.
and then the net stands up.
Yeah, no, there's we can't push step-ins in the ground here.
No.
We have to carry with us, are they called dead weight?
Yeah.
Mallets,
Yeah.
and beat them into sometimes what feels like concrete if it's dusty and dry,
Yeah.
or you're beating around rocks.
Yeah.
Oftentimes.
And Joel talks about that with his property, right? When
Yeah.
they first got there 50 years ago, their soil was not good either, and they used like blocks of concrete to hold up their electric fences. So we're not quite
No.
there. So we do have some soil,
Yeah.
but there's not a whole lot. And so the name of the podcast came one day when we were, I don't know if you would say lamenting, but we were definitely discussing the fact that around here it'll rain and everything's great.
And they always say we're 2 weeks away we're always 2 weeks away from a drought.
Yeah, because the amount of rocks that are in the soil, it drains really well, and so it doesn't hold water for long. So
Right.
we were chatting about, well, it's either around here it's either dust or mud, and so that's sort of where the idea of the name for the podcast came from is really our Ozark soil.
Mm-hmm.
And the roads around, especially, it can rain and then the next day it's dusty again.
Yeah.
Like it's
By the way, I
definitely
went down the
dust
road
or
a little
mud.
while ago, and there was mud.
Yeah, there you go.
So it was muddy. Yeah. And being in the Ozarks, not just geographically, but kind of demographically, what is the way of life around here? What is the pace of life around here? Not just on a farm. Yeah, a lot of people understand farm life, but our farm life, our daily, sort of pace, along with what is our life like on the outside of the farm.
The folks are the nicest we've ever been around.
Yes.
So we decided that there actually is a thing called Midwest nice. Like it really does exist.
Yeah,
The people here are just nice.
they are.
And that was very refreshing coming from where we were coming from, where that wasn't always the case.
Right.
Everyone here is just nice.
Yeah.
Like that is definite. And
Yeah.
then time is a little bit different here. There's nothing really is regimented around. So it just, everything is more laid back.
Mhm.
It really is. From like the folks around are just a lot more relaxed, a lot more laid back, a lot nicer.
Mhm.
They smile, they speak to you, they're genuinely interested in how are you today is not just a greeting, they are actually interested.
So we hadn't been here very long, and we came up on our neighbor coming down the dirt road, and he stopped. There's a lot of waving that goes on in this area. If you drive a dually and you're on a back road, you're going to wave.
Yeah.
To the guy in the other dually or to the guy in the pickup truck.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of waving.
Yep.
Whole lot of
That's
waving.
Because there's a whole lot of pickup trucks.
There's a whole lot of pickup trucks. But we come across our neighbor, super, super nice guy, and he stopped the truck, turned it off. We're on a dirt road, of course, but I'm like,
And luckily, we had just read about
yeah,
this phenomenon
yeah.
in the, in the
It was
countryside.
I think it was on Facebook.
Yeah,
yeah.
The phenomenon of stopping in the middle of the road and turning off the truck because it's rude to try to talk over somebody's diesel engine.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
And so you stop,
Turn it
and
off.
you turn off the truck and you chat with
And he did. He
folks.
turned off his truck.
And we were like,
Whoa. Whoa.
yeah, we need to turn the truck off so we can talk.
If you run up on your neighbor, don't be in a hurry.
No.
But what the message also was, and over the last 2 years, we've really, taken to the lifestyle. So we have slowed way down.
Yeah.
Like we try not to run late. I mean, we usually do, but we just don't care if we're late. But because it's Ozark time, right? That no, if we if we do run across our neighbor or a friend or whatever in the road, we stop and we take the time to talk, see how it's going, talk about the cows, talk about the farm. Do y'all need anything? Whatever the conversation.
Talk about the grass either growing or not.
Oh yeah, there's always grass talk.
Yes.
That's right.
Has to be.
It has to be. Well, that's what we're doing. We're growing grass.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is. It's a very different way of life, and we absolutely love it. Like, we just absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Out here on the dirt roads.
Yeah. Dirt road life. We chat about that also.
Yeah.
It is just different. Dirt road life is different.
Yeah.
You leave early because you have to travel the dirt roads.
Right.
You don't get in a hurry because you'll mess up your vehicles.
Yep.
Like it just the literalness of a dirt road slows you down, like literally.
Yeah.
And we've embraced that lifestyle and have really started talking about dirt road life and the lifestyle that's associated with living on a dirt road, to the point where I wrote a blog about dirt roads.
Yeah.
We are happy when we get off of the paved road onto the dirt road.
Yeah.
Like it becomes a lifestyle that is really represented by the dirt road.
Honestly, though, that was one of the main things that we were worried about when we looked at these properties out here was all of the dirt roads.
Well, that's because our dually was a street dually.
Yeah.
Designed to pull our RV.
That's right. And it was clean.
It was not a farm dually.
Everything was clean.
That's right.
And we're like, oh no.
Even
and we
the,
have
even
motorcycles.
the Jeep, which was my commuter.
I know. Everything
Jeep
was so clean. It's not clean anymore.
No, but that's part of dirt road.
Yeah. That's true. It sure is. They get washed every now and then.
It does
The other
rain.
day it got washed. I said, you need to pull that truck out of the barn because it's going to rain.
It did.
It did. It got washed. Anyway. So independence.
Yeah.
I've always been independent.
When we first got here, pushing 25 years in the military, I didn't shave and I didn't cut my hair for months.
Grizzly Adams. Like, really, it got bad.
I don't know
It was
that
wild.
I don't know that it got bad.
Okay, it
I wouldn't
bad.
say bad.
It got wild.
It was.
It was.
And that was the intention. I intentionally had read about the concept of rewilding, and that's what I decided I wanted to do. Shedding domestication. I felt like I had been told what to do for the past 25 years, and I did not want to be told what to do right now, at all, period, by anybody. And even myself, really.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to tell myself to shave or cut my hair. Like, I needed a time to get back to figure out who I was. And I think that was part of it. They talk about it, you can do that with your land, also rewild it, and they just let it go be what it was. We are not doing that with our land. But I needed to do that with me to figure out who I was. Shelley would ask, well, what do you want your hair to look like? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no paragraph in the instruction that tells me what farm hair is supposed to look like. So
Or farm face.
or farm face. Like,
Yeah.
can my mustache exceed the edges of my mouth or
Right.
not? Like, I don't know. So I needed
Yeah.
some time to rewild.
Yeah. And then, but you've since kind of, I guess dialing it in on what you want
Yeah.
you to do.
Yeah. It's hot.
Yeah, you don't want a winter
We
beard.
got rid of some of that stuff.
Yeah. Although it'll be soon, I guess it'll be time to start growing again.
That's right.
Wow. And be wild again, sort of.
Yeah. So it was, you asked about independence. It was really looking in the mirror because so you retire and you don't show up to work the next day. But mentally it's not like a light switched on or off, right? Like there was still consider yourself in the military or a colonel or, like all of those things. And it was honestly a visual reminder, like, oh yeah, things change. Things are definitely different. It's not just that I'm not showing up to work. It's things are actually different. And I can vividly remember when we left the first time and went to mom and dad's house, out of the state, off of the farm, out of the city, out of the state, and I asked no one.
Yeah, you didn't have to put in a leave request.
I did not put in a leave request weeks prior.
Didn't have to make sure the calendar was clear.
Nope. I didn't cancel any meetings. Like we decided.
Your secretary didn't care.
Nope. Not that I have one, but we just decided we were going, and we got in the vehicle and we left. And
Yeah,
even
that was fun.
Yeah, it was the independence there. Again, it was all part of, like, to most people that's really not a thing, but after 25 years of asking and being told where and when you can go, it was just different. It was a different thing.
But now you can't go.
Right. That is absolutely true. So I could ask permission to go and most of the time be granted permission to go. And now I just can't go.
Because we have cows. They have to be milked twice a day.
Yeah.
Animals need to be fed.
Yeah. And the difference is I don't want to go. I'm doing what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
And if we wanted something different, we would sell the milk cows.
For sure.
And we would do something different, and we would go whenever we wanted to, right? Like it's not like we're bound by an oath of office or any kind of commitment or contract to be doing this. We're doing it because we want to, and we're often, needled a little bit about being anchored, and the answer is yes. And even on a sailboat, there are times when you want to throw out an anchor. And right now we're anchored, and it's exactly where we want to be.
Yeah. So the journey to get to where we are today is 2023, August. We're 50 years old, and we have told the story from the military to farming. The journey, I mean, it has been an adventure, but it has been hard. The days have been long. Our bodies have ached. It has been...
You're talking the farming journey.
The farming journey.
Since we've been here on this property.
On this property, the journey, the farming journey, from the time we pulled in, there was nothing here. We drug our RV with us. We didn't even have anywhere to dry our clothes.
Right.
We bought a washing machine, and we happened to have a hookup in the back end of our RV for washing clothes. So we didn't have to do the laundromat thing. But we had to, in Ozark soil, dig and try to figure out how to get a clothesline set up. And we thought it was going to be for like 4 to 6 months. It turned out to be 14 months.
Yeah.
A lot longer than we anticipated living in that situation. So it was hard. It has been a lot, like the learning curve has been steep. but the hard, to me, so rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. We talked about learning how to take care of the animals and stuff. I mean, we had to learn all of the stuff. Like, what fences do you buy? How do you charge an electric fence? What kind of electric fence do you need? We built chickshaws to move the chickens around in. We built chicken tractor to move the chickens around in.
Yeah.
Do we need cow pens? Like there was a lot to this, to the whole thing, getting everything set up. Yeah.
Which direction do you put a T-post in when you want to build a hog panel fence? And, how do these clip things work? And, we're common sense people. We know how to do things. With our hands, we can tear stuff apart and put it back together. If we couldn't, this would all have taken a lot longer, I'm sure. But just a lot of learning, on the fly. You reach you come up on a problem and you got to learn how to deal with it. And that's this lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's farming life. That's rural life.
And you've got it figured out so well now that you have time to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
What do you mean
We
no?
just aren't building a house now, so we can do a lot of things.
Got it.
Because we did build the house also.
Yeah.
We had the outside built, but we did all of the inside ourselves, from drywall to plumbing to electric to everything. And that, we had to learn how to do that while we were learning how to rotate cows.
Yeah.
So this year seems a little almost easy-ish. So, hey, let's do something else. Let's learn how to do a podcast.
Cool.
Yeah. So this podcast, what's the plan for it? What are we doing?
Well, here's number 1.
Yeah. Okay.
Next week will be number 2.
What do you think? What are we going to talk about next week?
I don't remember. What was next week?
Regenerative farming.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're going to talk about how, dive in a little bit deeper on the concepts of regenerative farming and how we do it, how we started doing it, and how we're doing it now.
Perfect.
I think.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. So we thank everyone for taking the time out of their day or life to listen to this. And we hope that maybe it will add some inspiration to your life to get out there and do the thing.
Yeah. Or at least entertainment.
Or, yeah.
Surely you can laugh at us. Right?
We do.
Yeah, right.
If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Also on Google, Spotify,
Apple,
iTunes,
Amazon,
all the things.
Good Tunes, everything.
Yeah.
Good Cast or something.
Switcher,
Pod,
Twitcher,
Pod something.
pod things. If you're whatever pod thing you're listening to, hit like and join us next Thursday.
Yeah.
As we bring you more farm antics.
Yeah.
And maybe information.
Right. And potentially at least entertainment.
Oh, that's right. Okay, till next week.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.